Okay, so here we are for the very last lecture. It's going to be real brief today. It's the Meaning of Life Part 2. You'll see here that we have two of the big meanings of my life here, Maxie in the upper right-hand corner, and me and Owen a couple years ago in the bottom left-hand corner. Next we see, of course, my family here, which is the meaning of my life. I've got to give them a little bit of press, right? Okay. First up in the discussion in the Meaning of Life Part 2, we're going to talk about internal theories. And these are people who feel that the meaning of life can't be found outside of oneself for a variety of reasons. They could think that there's no way you could know enough about the structure of the universe in order to ascribe any meaning to it. They could be philosophically opposed on other grounds, metaphysically and so forth. But these are people who feel the meaning of life has to do with something internal. Then we'll be talking about nihilism, the belief that life has no meaning and there are no transcendent, objective, aesthetic, or moral values of any kind whatsoever. Okay, first up, let's discuss the internal theories. Probably most well known is Kierkegaard in this camp. At least that's who Velasquez likes to put Kierkegaard with. And the idea is that for Kierkegaard, it might be something like this. Look, I can never know with complete rational certainty whether or not God exists, right? It's not something I could ever possibly verify for sure. However, I can decide to live my life as though God does exist and believe in him and make this commitment, this leap into absurdity of the idea of this creature existing, and then that will in turn animate my life and motivate my life. It will give it meaning and purpose. And the idea here is that you make an internal decision that meaning is finding the idea for which you can live and die. Maybe another way to think about this is when someone gives change to someone else on the street. I often think of my wife. When we first were together, she was always so willing to give change to someone who needed it or money to someone who needed it. And I was always far more cynical. And I would say, well, I don't know. I don't think that they really need the money. They're just going to use it on drugs or something like that. And we had a discussion about it once. And my wife's attitude is, look, maybe that person is cheating me, and maybe they are just getting $100 an hour or whatever it is. But that says more about that person than it does about me. And I'm the kind of person who, if someone tells me that they need money for food, I'm going to give them that money. I think that that's my decision, and I understand there's no way I can verify whether or not this person is lying to me or not. In a sense, it's indifferent, right? I choose to live my life in such a way that if someone needs help, I'm willing to give it to them, regardless. And that says more about me than it ever will about you and whether you get a couple of dollars off of me on the street. So the idea there again is very similar. It's that the act of giving to someone is meaningful for me, and it motivates my life and gives it guidance and direction in a way that is additive to me and final to me. Okay, so that's a sense of what people who look for the meaning of life within themselves, they think of it as a decision that they make. Here's another famous quote from a modern philosopher, modern meaning he was alive in the 20th century, Jean-Paul Sartre. And he says that, look, before you come alive, life is nothing. It's up to you to give it meaning, to decide what it is. Now, Sartre doesn't feel that there's anything out there that's going to guarantee that our life is meaningful, and that we need to make decisions and live our life in such a way that it is meaningful, and that we give it a meaning. We're not born like scissors are born. Scissors are born with what they're going to be doing already in mind. Scissors are sharpy and pointy. They're going to cut things or stab things. That's it. There's not much else they're going to do. Maybe they can prop open a door or something like that. But everything that a scissor can do or be is already wrapped up in its design. And Sartre feels like, no, we are different than that. We decide what our meaning is. In that sense, our essence precedes, or excuse me, our essence comes after our existence, right? We give our life, we give ourselves an essence by how we lead our lives and the decisions that we make. Okay? Now, let's get to a criticism of an internal theory of life. This would be a great quiz question, okay, for this week. The idea here is that when someone says my life is meaningful because of an internal decision that I make, they're not really answering the question. When I say why is my life meaningful, I don't mean, oh gosh, that I really think that it's important that we help people, so I help people. What I really mean is, what's the point, right? What's the ultimate objective meaning? And an internalist theory is one where people start to think of meaning in a different way, right? It's almost like apples and oranges. When I say what's the meaning of life, I mean, what are we all doing here? I don't mean how do you make it an experience that's vivid and important to you. I mean, how is it meaningful, right? What is the purpose of it? So there's a little joke there if you can read it. Just as a that's not quite what I meant, right? Not quite talking about the same thing. All right. Next up, nihilism. Okay, now nihilism is the belief that there are no transcendent values. There's no right, there's no wrong. There was a car accident in my neighborhood just recently, and very, very regrettably, a child was killed. And a nihilist would think, look, it's a sad thing that happened, but that sadness exists only in us. It doesn't exist in the universe, right? And that beauty and goodness and evil, those are all wonderful concepts, but they're just concepts and they're just feelings that we have. And when we're all dead and gone, that'll be it. There's no grand overarching meaning to everything. There just isn't. And if, for whatever reason, a psychopath went on a killing rampage, sure, that's a terrible sadness in the sense that people around them would be affected, but it's not some great moral evil in the universe. It's just something that happened, and that's that. Life moves on. Okay, now here we have a quote from Schopenhauer, who says that human life must be some kind of mistake is sufficiently proved by the simple observation that man is a compound of needs which are hard to satisfy, that their satisfaction achieves nothing but a painless condition in which he is only given over to boredom. This is what he means. Think about a new phone that you bought, right? And when you first get that phone, it is amazing. It is incredible, and you just can't get enough of it, right? This is my phone, okay, and it's a wonderful phone, but when I first got it, the screen was huge, and everybody thought, "Wow, what a big screen!" And this great phone, and after several months have passed, it just sort of became my phone, right? I was done. I'd say 3 months in, I was done. It was just my phone again. And everybody goes through this. They get a new phone. It's very exciting. Every time they open it up, it's kind of neat. But then, yeah, you get tired of that phone. And here, Schopenhauer is saying, look, everything in life is like that. Some people think, oh, if I can just get this one relationship, everything else is going to be perfect. Oh, if I can just lose 10 pounds, everything else is going to be perfect. If I can just get this car, if I can just get this job, if I can just get into this school, if I can just get to this class, if I can just get this career, if I can just get this, and the problem is that your entire life is like that, right? And this is what Schopenhauer notices, that you will always have something that you want, that you feel is absolutely essential, and without it, it's just, life is just not there for you. And then once you get that thing, you're sick of it. The newness wears off, and that's what Schopenhauer is feeling here. He feels that life is sort of this cruel joke, that you really just have a series of needs, and you satisfy them, and then you're dead, right? And that's all that he sees to it. Now, a criticism here of this is that it's a little hard to tease out based on what the book has given us, but the problem is that nihilism wants to say that there is no universal objective meaning, right? There are no transcendental values, no values that go beyond our thoughts and our immediate lives. But the real issue then is that that statement, that there is no universal value, is itself, right, a universal statement, and that's contradictory. So it's like saying, do you think there are, it's like anti-realism that we talked about weeks and weeks ago. Do you think there are facts or just opinions? I just think there are opinions. Okay, well, is that a fact? Right? I mean, you want to say something about everything. You want to say everything is sort of relative. But in doing that, you need a statement that itself is not relative. And that's the problem that nihilism has. Okay, that concludes our Meaning of Life lecture. Just a real short week this week. Very short quiz, and thanks, you guys. It's been great.